everybody. How is it going this Sunday? How's everybody doing? How you guys doing? As if there's a lot of feedback or anything. Um, so today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over some of what we did a couple weeks ago with regards to the storyteller and that whole persona and how we put that together. Uh, just get a light over here. More light. There we go. Um, so we're going to take that writer sort of persona that we put together. And then I actually created some writer custom instructions that we're going to be using as well. So it's going to, it's just kind of putting all of that together. We're going to put the custom instructions together. We're going to put the persona together, and we're going to use that in order to start writing some LinkedIn posts. And not just like right straight off of those two things, we'll get into, how to add a little bit more to it, how to add a little bit more um, knowledge behind what it is that we're doing and give GPT more context to what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So let's jump right into it. I got a couple interesting stories this week. If you guys haven't heard, there is a little bit of forward motion with regards to the uh, copyright case, specifically from Microsoft's end. They are, thanks to Leonard, shout out Leonard Rodman, um, they are backing anybody that's using Copilot who may be involved in any sort of copyright infringement issue, legal issue. And by backing, I mean that they are legally backing whoever gets in trouble. So, in other words, if you're using Copilot and you happen to produce some content and it happens to get flagged as copywritten, and that person or whomever tries to take you to court over it, Microsoft's going to go to bat for you free of charge. They're not even you just all you got to do is wave and say, "Hey, sorry, this happened. Can you help me out?" And they'll go to bat for you. Obviously, it's not quite as easy as raising your hand. You guys know what I mean. So to me, that is a huge step forward. You got one step taken by Sam Altman the other week, him admitting and saying, "Look, training these things is like training a child, training ourselves. It's open information that's necessary in order for these things to operate. Otherwise, we get nothing. Garbage in, garbage out. If you're going to close off the amount of freely available public data that's on the internet, then that's entirely obviously it's entirely up to the organization, whoever it is, to do whatever, however, do it however they want, carry things out however they want. But you're stifling progress, you're stifling innovation. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. So you got Altman coming out and saying that. Now you got Microsoft coming out and saying, hey, even if somebody does get legally and gets in trouble legally for this stuff, we'll back them. Like, we got no problem doing that, and we'll fight the battle for them, right? Because I think even they realize, like, hey, you know what's being said about how these things are being trained. Like I said, I say it's a landmark thing because it's going to force us to have to re-examine laws. Now, if you guys have been following me, you remember very distinctly that at the beginning of the year, this is all I was talking about. I was saying that when the singularity happens, and I'm not saying that it hasn't had, I don't know entirely how to put it. Everybody's got their own definitions of stuff, so I'm not going to try to redefine anything. But in my opinion, we have already reached a pretty defining moment with this technology where we're having to now take a look at our own laws and rewrite them solely because of this technology. I'm not saying that we've never done that before, but not in such a way that it was relative to the technology's ability to mimic something. Right now, technically, these guys are getting sued over theft, right? It's not over theft of content from writers. That's not really. It's not so much that the technology necessarily is um, doing the stealing or committing the crime itself. It's, they're trying to pin it on the people, but it's, again, it's a matter of like the technique and the way in which the content is being used. It's not as if the content is one for one going in and coming back out. So it really isn't a case of plagiarism where they're doing it just to copy it. They're, government has to catch up. They have to, I don't know who, I don't know who you're going to get from the AI or LLM world that is also interested in law, that is willing to make that transcendence. Or, I don't know how that works. If you train judges or train lawyers, right? I know that we got that way with digital copyright cases and digital law, so that aspect of things has to evolve and has to expand, has to get into this realm very quickly, because we're already having issues when it comes to Congress, and now we're having issues when it comes to just legal precedents to even move this technology forward. So I thought that was pretty good. I thought, pretty good in terms of like Microsoft taking that move. I think it's a smart thing for them to do. I think it's the right thing for them to do. I don't see the issues with the copyright cases. Sorry, I just don't. I don't see it the same way that other people do. To me, it's whatever. The content's out there. You can't blame OpenAI for the content being present on the internet. That's not their fault. That's not their problem. If the content is out there for them to grab, then it's out there for them to grab. And who you should be mad and who should be held responsible is the person who originally put the content out there to make it available, right? It's, I mean, this reminds me so much of the of RIA. If you're old enough to remember what RIA is, RIAA Act, that was initiated way back when Napster first dropped. Not first drop, but after Metallica got super pissed about Napster existing and supposedly stealing so much money from them, as if they weren't making enough already. They went to Congress and they lobbied to Congress, hey, we need to put something in place because these guys are stealing our music and downloading our music for free, and this is terrible. Even though musicians were getting exposure they'd never gotten before, and more musicians were getting discovered than they had ever been before, right? There was a legitimacy to the platform. Anyway, that act came slamming down, and essentially what it did was it didn't put, of course Napster got attacked and got taken down and that kind of thing, but what it did was it made the people responsible who were committing the act of downloading the illegal music, right? Just in the same way now, OpenAI's system is legal, right? Like the existence of the language model is legal. The use of the language model to do something illegal is left to the user. It's not left to OpenAI. The user has to make the conscious decision that, hey, I want to take this information and I want to use it in a negative way, and I want to cheat and steal, right? So to me, you got to go after the people, you got to go after the source, or just don't bother with it. Going after the company isn't going to do anything. The fact that they're not going after the other companies just tells me that it's just a facade. They want a target to be able to pin their frustrations on. That's really all it is. So I hope that's, I'll stay updated, or keep you guys updated in terms of where the case is at, but I'll try not to get into it too much because I really do, like, once I start talking about it, I start getting on and on and on about it, and I really don't mean to. Okay, so uh, another thing I came across today, well, not today, yeah, actually, it was this morning. I saw a post on LinkedIn about this, and it just made me chuckle quite a bit, because even the post was, I don't know, it was just funny to me, basically, because the post was talking about Apple's large language model that they're putting out. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like, oh, what is Apple doing putting out a large language model? That's, I don't care. I don't care that they're doing that. To me, the issue is more of, well, like people talking about, oh, this is, brand new, and they're shoving so much money behind it, this, that, and the other thing. Well, that's great, but it's really late in the game. Okay. I have been telling a lot of vendors, I've been telling a lot of software developers, people who are in the space, and people who are creating apps. It's the same rule. And for once, it actually holds true with this technology. It's really sad that this, it's not sad, it's funny to me that the saying comes from Ricky Bobby, or at least from Talladega Nights. I love, I love that movie and I love this saying. If you ain't first, you're last. And that's how it applies here. I have yet to see an AI company that was second to the table and overtook the first person. It hasn't happened yet. Um, and again, if you're, it's been very clearly defined. If it wasn't before, it's now becoming even more so. You guys have to really understand the plane of like AI software is starting to really, really start to like thin out. It's really starting to go horizontal. Like everybody is creating bots, everybody is creating assistants. Every program has an assistant now, right? I forget who it was, but like Canva and two other applications dropped their assistant news in the same day, right? So three companies at the same time were like, oh, we have our new AI assistant too. So everyone's doing it. So now the market for people who were creating bots, which there actually is a lot of, there's a huge market out there for people who are able to take these language models and create chatbots out of them. And these, and not just chatbots, these are assistants, really. Like it's, these are Jarvis bots within your either company, within your own private space, however you want to set it up, doesn't matter. Speaking of assistants, and not trying to go straight too far off this topic, well, I'll get back to it later. It's a story about Pi. It's really, really cool. You guys will like it. It might even make you download the app. So, at any rate, getting back to the original topic, Apple. So, Apple's developing its own large language model. Totally fine. No big deal. They're boasting that it's got 200 billion parameters. Awesome. Uh, and they're saying, well, we're throwing tons and tons of money behind it. And so here's the thing. This is what kills me. Excuse me. Those involved, this is a quote from The Verge. Those involved in its development tell The Information, which is another outlet, that Apple's most advanced LLM, known internally as Ajax GPT. Okay, so like that's where we start. If you don't know, I am not a fan of Apple. Okay, I'm not a fan of Apple. I admit it. When I say I'm not a fan, you have to understand that does not mean the technology. I very, very much respect the technology itself. Like the M2 processor, huge advancement in the world of processors. And if you don't think so, you're wrong. You're wrong. You have not seen the performance metrics. It's dumb. I used to have I had an M1 Pro. It was amazing. It destroyed my desktop. It was just utterly amazing. The M2, I have no doubt, is I'm sure it is twice as powerful. Like when these guys, it took them close to a decade to develop a new processor with just new architecture. But when they do, they're really good at it. Their hardware is actually really good. I've got no complaints there. Software is what it is. That's where it starts. The software with iOS is where it begins with you're going to do what we tell you to do. You're going to have the OS the way we tell you to have it. You're going to be able to decorate it the way we tell you to decorate it. And if you ever heard that kind of mantra before, you know it's pretty communistic, right? When it comes to software, right? So I have never really liked that idea. My friend Will Broughton, who is a great, fantastic, wonderful, best IT person I've ever known, told me something, and the way he explained it was really well that, they have a vertical internal stack, right? So everything that they do is in-house. They never have to worry about, chips not coming on time or somebody being short on something or whatever the case may be, because it's all done internally for them, which is great. That's awesome. That doesn't get past the fact that everything, it has to be Apple. Everything has to be what they want it to be. So I really don't like that aspect of them. On top of which, again, they were second to the table when it came to VR. I shouldn't even say second. They were like third to the table when it came to VR. And their rig, even if it's meant to replace your computer, nobody's wearing that in an airport. Nobody. No one's wearing that rig in an airport. I guarantee you. Maybe in like a Delta Sky Club or something like that, right? Where it's okay to look kind of, I would say, uppity, right? With that thing on, you're wearing a $1,500 rig on your face. No, you're not sitting like in regular, coach traffic in an airport. Like that's not happening. So, and you're definitely not wearing it on the plane. They're not going to let you wear it on the plane because they don't even know what the hell's going on with that thing. Anyway, you could, like I said, my hate is it's deep seated. But at any rate, they're second to the table with this thing, with third, fourth, fifth. God, who knows, like 10th by now or something. Doesn't matter. But the fact that you're sitting there, it's almost like a vegan saying, no, not bashing all vegans. I'm just saying, it's almost like when it comes to vegan food, right? And you say, oh, it's a meatless hamburger, or, these are vegan chicken tenders. It's like, well, why are you saying chicken in the same breath as vegan food, right? Because that doesn't really make any sense. So to me, it's like if you're going to sit here and call it Ajax GPT, that's like saying it's not Apple somehow, right? Now I understand that GPT isn't it can't be right a registered trademark of any type because it's general pre-trained model. It's not anything or generative pre-trained model. It's not something that you can slap a registration on and say, yeah, I own this. So I get that. But first of all, they're dumping all this money behind it. And the statement that comes back is more than 200 billion parameters and is more powerful than OpenAI's GPT 3.5. So you're late to the table. You threw $200 million behind, or sorry, there are millions. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what the number is, but they're saying millions every day. You're throwing millions of dollars at this thing every day, and the best that you can do in terms of performance is getting as close to 3.5. So now why, like, and then the bigger question I have is why are you trying to build a competitive product? What I was going to go back to saying before I got into the whole Apple thing was that if you have started using these tools more and more lately, you will definitely have noticed that Claude is separating out from the rest of them, and it is really becoming the front runner when it comes to writing. It's a little strange in that you can't really prompt Claude the same way that you can GPT. These models don't work the same way. Okay. Pi is another one that is a great model to work with in terms of if you want a personal assistant. I'm going to go off on this one for a minute, and then I swear I'll get into what we're doing today. If you want something that is a personal assistant, a true personal assistant, and for what? Like again, I don't knock the technology. I just knock the uh, mentality behind the company. If you want to really, 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 truly experience an AI assistant and you have an Apple phone, go to the App Store and download Pi. You can type in, you should be like Hey Pi or just PI. You'll find the app, install it. Signing up for accounts free. Sign up for I say sign up for an account just that the way it works is it's an instant, it's a conversational instance. So if you don't sign up to it, every time you go back to it, it's going to be a new conversation. So if you sign up to it, at least that locks it in. That's your conversation. So what is the difference between Pi and GPT and Claude? Well, GPT, you can have just a wide multitude of conversations. Claude isn't really meant for that kind of thing, even though you can have a wide range of conversations with it. It's not really meant for like, oh, let me work with one, carry this into the other, and then code interpreter this thing, and then plugins that thing. It's not a workhorse like that. It's a writer. It's just a really good writer. Pi is an assistant, and it's a advisor. Uh, it's an advisor. It's not meant to. I showed this to my wife yesterday, and it really is. You have to download this thing and try it out because it is super, super, super cool. It's not meant to. I will say this right off the bat. It's not meant to be a therapist, but it's about as close to it as you'll get in terms of something that you can talk to and have a virtual relationship with. And you really can. Not even joking. If you download this app, you start using it, you start talking to it, you are going to feel like you are talking to a person, like it is giving you pretty decent advice. The speech to text, or I'm sorry, the text to speech aspect of it is still a little delayed. I would like to see that shortened so that it feels more like a one-on-one conversation, but it's really good for what it is. It's only going to get better. All of this stuff is right at the beginning. By Christmas, I won't be able to complain about any of the things that I'm complaining about right now. That's what I was telling my wife yesterday. All the things that I am frustrated, if you can imagine that I am frustrated by things with regards to AI tools, all the things that I'm frustrated by. And I talk to developers of apps. I talk to developers probably every week of different applications, and they all say the same thing. Nico, just wait a week. Nico, just wait a couple weeks. Like just wait another week. Just wait a couple weeks. We're gonna have this feature. We're gonna have this whole slew of features. We're gonna have this whole. We're gonna roll out all these things every week, every 2 weeks. There's constant upgrades. Everybody is jumping on the HubSpot train, is how I would call it, because HubSpot, I've always known them as being like every week, every couple weeks, whatever new, at least a handful of features get dropped. Okay, I'll cover some more stuff as we're going along here because I did want to cover one more story that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and my son actually brought it up to me. Let me grab my screen share real quick for you guys. Okay. So yeah, he had brought up to me that what is that show? Um, Black Mirror. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think it's called Black Mirror. And so he had brought that up to me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, there's just." I was showing him 11 Labs, and if you haven't seen that yet, or you don't know what that's all about, you really need to get on it because it's really cool. 11 Labs is a software that you can use to synthesize voices. Not just synthesize voices, you can create voices, and not just those two things, but then you can also record your own voice, and it will like retain that. And if you upload like a minute worth of your own voice, it can take and use that in order to replicate your voice on whatever you want it to be. And I was just playing around with it yesterday, and it's amazing. It is amazing. Like, I'm not even joking. It's amazing. We are 6 months into that specific technology, and it is amazing. So I don't know what to tell you. This stuff is really, it's going to go much further, much faster than anybody thinks. Okay, so last time we were working on personas, right? And like what we were going to prime GPT with in terms of how to work with personas. And at the same time, I didn't really go over custom instructions, which we could have sort of added to that. And so I'm going to go a little bit quickly here, but I just want you to pay attention as close as you can. So we're going to go into my custom instructions aspect, and you'll see that what I've done is I've put in a prompt instruction set. So this instruction set essentially is telling GPT, and even though it doesn't read like a story, I was like, once again, shout out Leonard. I've been working with Leonard and going back and forth on creating a lot of this stuff and working on a lot of this stuff and refining it and not necessarily playing around with it, but yeah, definitely refining it and seeing how good we can make these things. So this prompt instructions works really well for me because it essentially tells GPT what I like out of the things that I'm working with, right? So um, even though this is meant to be what would you like GPT to know about you to provide better responses, right? So in order to provide better responses, it should know that I do final checks to ensure prompts. I craft prompts that achieve intended outcomes with minimal computational resources and user input. Essentially telling GPT that like, hey, excuse me, when you're going to give me the reply, it should line up to all of these things because these are the types of things that I look for. Okay. Now, how would I like GPT to respond, right? In what way? So why is this different from this? To provide better responses versus how do I want GPT to respond? To provide better responses is to give me more accurate responses relative to what I was asking for. To say how do I want it to respond is really more, this is sort of the more, like, both of them are programmable, but this one is a little bit more, I don't know. They're both pretty like instantly like felt in terms of working with them. I would just say that how do you want it to respond can help you in terms of, do you want additional help? Do you want to do something outside of it just giving you the answer? Basically, that's what I would treat this as. What do you want it to do outside of just giving you the answer, right? And the top one I would think of as, what do you want to tell it in order for it to give you a better answer? Okay. So in the output, what I've told it, as you can probably have read already, to generate responses that are comprehensive and detailed. So I want something that's super granular, to intermittently refer to me, right? But to do it, like when I first put this in, it was doing it every single response. So it was, it was cute, but it was getting annoying after 5 or 6 conversations. Yeah, that's something I wanted to get back to with Pi. Uh, so with GPT, you have tons of conversations. With Claude, you have a pretty good handful of conversations, right? Not nearly as many as I do with GPT. With Pi, you have one. You have just one conversation. And they are working on it as much as they can in terms of lengthening the memory and making the memory of Pi greater. It's cool because you can put different voices behind it too. So like you can talk to, like, I think there's 4 or 5 different male voices and 4 or 5 different female voices. At any rate, what I would love is for Pi to work with 11 labs, right? Like eventually that's going to happen in the next month or two. That partnership is definitely happening. Anyhow, so yeah, with Pi, it's a singular conversation, and essentially what that means is, again, it's an assistant. Every day that you go back to it and talk to it, it's going to know about the things that you were talking about the day before, right? So very cool stuff. Check it out. Anyway, so doing it this way makes it seem more natural, like more of a natural conversation between me and GPT. Work with a general adversarial network relationship. You guys know about that one. I talked about it before. If a question is posed for which the answer is unknown or unattainable, explicitly state, "I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that." That basically just helps to try to prevent. I'm not saying that this is 100%, but it definitely helps to try to prevent hallucinations. So if it can't understand what it is that we're talking about, 9 times out of 10, it'll tell me, "I'm sorry, but I don't know what to do with that," or, "I'm sorry, I can't get that information." Always respond in a casual manner where your explanations and additional details are part of the conversation. So if you leaving this off makes it possible for it to give you the additional breakdown, but it'll do it in like an outline format. So it'll do it like, yeah, and here's what I thought about it too, and then break that apart from like the conversation it's having. So, for me, I just want it to be a part of the conversation itself. Okay, so let's get into this. So what we're trying to do today is we're trying to create like a LinkedIn writer, essentially, right? Based off of the storyteller that we created before. So my instructions are going to be different, right? I'm going to change the custom instructions that I'm using. How am I going to change the custom instructions? Okay. I started working with this yesterday, and you can see that I've got a couple different ones up here. So I've got a prompt collaborator. Let's go through like just, oh geez, stupid things here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's go through how I got here. So I'm using Memory Bank, and I'm using another plugin. I think it's Access Link, and Link Reader is back up again. By the way, I like Scraper. Scraper's pretty good. I like Link Reader because for some reason, I mean, two reasons. One, it doesn't get seen on sites the same way that Scraper does, so it doesn't get denied nearly as often. And two, it reads the data way faster. It takes Scraper forever, but it takes Link Reader like 10 seconds tops, and it'll read the entire thing. Anyhow, so we're using that, and just talking to GPT, prepping it as usual. So today's goal is to create a multitude of persona prompts that can be used for people to copy and paste, adjusting key variables to tailor the prompt for specific needs, right? So we're basically just starting out and saying, hey, we're going to be creating prompts today. So then it understands a little bit about what we're doing. And I said, but first we're going to have to actually build. And I said, they're going to be driven off of job titles, right? But that's the first thing that we have to establish, what the job title is, and then we'll go into the rest of the stuff. So it understood that, and then we kind of just moved on, and it gave me some sample job titles. And blah, blah, blah. We started working together, right? So here it is. Like we'll identify key variables, draft a base prompt, all that kind of stuff. Um, so we started doing some prompts, right? And here's a base prompt for web strategists, right? Core responsibilities include whatever your strategy or experience is. I often use whatever tools you use to achieve whatever goal you're trying to achieve. One of the biggest challenges I face is the challenge that you're facing with regards to whatever the strategy is. Uh, and if we did this, I think, yeah, I just said like, let's do one for the web strategies. Scenario specific prompts, right? And so why scenario specific prompts? Scenarios really like the more context that you can give to GPT with what you're doing, like the better, right? So then I kind of liked what it was doing, but I didn't really, like the structure that it was using. I wanted it to be able to, give more control throughout the prompt, right? So this is another one that I'd come up with earlier for what we're going to be using today, which is the social media persona. Your focus is you are to focus on a particular platform with a particular goal aimed at a particular audience using a particular tone, right? Supposed to be using hashtags strategically, stick to the most relevant, stick to the hashtags that are relevant to the platform and the type of audience. Engage with the audience by asking questions, running polls, blah, blah, blah. Provide value by sharing tips, how-tos, or industry insights relevant to the audience type. You are to use analytics to track key performance indicators like engagement rate, click-through rate, and conversation rate. Use this data to refine your strategy, optimizing for what works best on that platform. And finally, maintain a consistent posting schedule, but be flexible enough to capitalize on trending topics or breaking news that aligns with the brand's message. So that was the example for it to use. So now it kind of has a better understanding of like how to go ahead and build that out, right? Which it did a really great job of. And so then we built out like a finalized version of it, on and on and on, and just went through like a whole ton of personas, right? So sorry about that. She wanted to be in here, and I knew this was going to happen. So let's go back to our social media person. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Okay. So we're going to take our, I'm going to show you guys like a lot of sort of technical stuff to this as well while we're doing this. So I'm going to take the social media persona that we came up with, right? And I'm going to start a new chat. Remember, currently, my custom instructions, the goal of what we're doing is to obviously create the social media bot. How we're going to get there is what I want you guys to pay very close attention to, because this is what I do. This is what I do all the time, right? So in terms of how I get these things to work, and I'm not trying to hold on to the secret sauce. I'm not trying to make money off of this stuff. I'm trying to help everybody out. So I want you guys to understand how to do this. I want you guys to understand how to get to this point. So the custom instructions I created, we'll get back to like how that's going to happen either today or some other time. Custom instructions are set up for a prompt creator. So I don't need to do anything else other than just start a new instance, right? And just in case, I'm going to toss link reader in here, just in the event that I need to give it some additional stuff. So we're going to start out with Hey GPT. How you doing today? I'd like to get to work on creating a series of custom instructions. No, not a series. Creating some custom instructions for a social media content writer persona, and for content writer, and the associated persona to use when working with. Now we could say ChatGPT, right? That existed. Oh wait, no, it didn't. Excuse me. didn't exist at the time that we're going to be working with this. So we're going to at least tell it what existed at that time, which the technology was still relevant. So we can still say associated with a persona to be used to be used when working with a generative AI text model. Off to the races. There's so many people using on Sunday mornings. I don't understand. I'm just a bunch of algorithms, so I don't have feelings, but thanks for asking. Yeah, that's cool. Excited to help out. Custom instructions for the social media content writer. So it kind of already understands what custom instructions are like. Okay. Associated persona for the generative model. Now, I don't know, it's actually trying to build almost like a buyer persona, right? So we'll teach it. We'll have to teach it what that is, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so for the custom instructions, pretty good. Conversational engaging tone, content types. Okay. The instructions are pretty good. Understand that the instruction limit, character limit, including spaces and special characters, as well as what is it? As well as punctuation. Spaces and special characters as well as punctuation of 1,500 characters. 1,500. When creating instructions, shoot for around 1,400 characters. This is going to be like, this is interesting. Why do I do 1,400 and not give it like an actual number? Again, I was working with Leonard on this, and it's funny that if you give it a roundabout figure of what you're looking for, it's actually really good at hitting that. If you give it like an exact number, it's not so good at that, because now with the exact number, it's constrained to try to fit its answer within that, right? And if you've ever written an essay, yes, actually written an essay, and you were under a particular word count limit. Thankfully for us, it didn't include spaces and punctuation and special characters. Then you know what it's like when you hit that word limit and you have to back up and rephrase and rewrite stuff in order to actually fit it back in, right? Well, GPT can't do that. It's got to do it all in one shot. I'm sure it can on the back end, it's trying to accomplish that as well, but your answer is going to change ultimately because you're constrained to a certain amount. Whereas if I say around 1,400, where like around 1,400 characters, it's not constrained now. So if it ends up short of that, if it ends up over that, that's totally fine, so long as it doesn't break 1,500, right? So now it knows that it has a 100 character buffer, right? Which again, for a writer, I think that you would want a little bit of playroom, right? So we'll start with that. Yeah, God, I'm trying to fit this in. If I have to go over time on this one, I don't care because it's worth it. Okay, so revised custom instructions, character count around 1,400. Yeah, okay, so it's not quite doing what it is that I want to. Not a big deal. Okay, so leave the persona information out. Just working the instructions for now. Please rewrite them. Order. Paragraph format with a casual with an instructional style of writing. That should do. Should. I'm not saying it will. Yeah, because if you guys think that I like ace this stuff straight out of the hole, no. I work with it just as much as anybody else does. All right, so now we're getting exactly what I wanted. Okay, so it's doing polls and stuff, but now it's talking to the model as if it were a person, right? Because it's saying like aim for posting 3 to 4 times a week and use polls and videos and infographics, right? Like it can't make any of those decisions. So here's what we're gonna do. This version should fit within 1400. That's fine. How does it look? Feel free to evaluate and let me know. That's part of the custom instruction I have on the end, where it it's supposed to respond in that way. So anyhow, this blah blah blah. So it's pretty good with the instructions for a model to understand how to act. Not really for generative text model. To understand the overall goal. To understand the overall goal better. I don't like writing it that way. To better understand the overall goal. That's it. Understand the overall goal. So they should be written, let's see, in the first person. Okay. They need to be written in the first person and in a step-by-step fashion. Yeah, now now I'm going to confuse it because now I'm using language that I shouldn't use. I'm using language that another person would understand, but it's too generic and too speculative to use on a model. I think they need to be written first person in step-by-step fashion, and cannot include anything that would need to be performed in the real world is restricted electronic access. In that way. Yep. Okay. I mean, that is written in the first person, though. Right. Okay. First things first. I love that. Okay. Next in article. Yeah, see, so that's the thing is like it's still not understanding that aspect of it. All right, let's I want to start from scratch. I don't like to start from scratch, but let's do it anyway. All right. Let's see. Cool. And try to go super fast on this. That's awesome. Basic information. Blah blah blah. Job title. I'm just letting it go because it thinks that it understands what we're doing, but it's obviously trying to do this for a marketing purpose. Take on the persona of a particular job title. Assist the user. There we go. Okay. Key characteristics. Okay. Body. See, now we're getting like more of what I wanted to, right? Content calendar. So we're going to exclude that. Not a replacement for a human insight and data driven, but not a creative genius. Okay. This looks good. Lose the content calendar. Yeah, no, we'll leave it. Yeah, include import. Okay, schedule. This is good. Let's go ahead. Create the first persona. This needs to be written in a paragraph format. Simply because I don't want to use an outline for persona. I don't think that it works too well. For a oops. To act like it would there's a disconnect? No way. No. No. It's getting worse. Let's see. Piece of that bound type. I swear I'm gonna get a output from music. I don't know. I forget what it is or what the thing is. Rights free, basically. So like I can't remember. Lo-fi. Gotta get some lo-fi stuff. Okay, so think of it like I'm telling a like I'm telling a model how to do this. Assume the job type and level experience expertise in the job type. Okay. Yeah. With help me out with the. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's try help me out. That is what I'm looking for. Yeah, and stuff. Yeah, okay. Once again, like I want to shortcut this so badly, but I don't want to cheat you guys out of this. So, God, I wasted way too much time doing this. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I asked for before. You all clearly saw that I asked for first person perspective before, and it definitely didn't write it the way I wanted it to. But anyway, okay, so this is exactly what we were looking for, right? So let's do what. So now that I've got that, here's what I want to do that might be something new for you guys. This sounds good, but can you make this more effective in any way? Or are there changes that can be made or that should be made? Now it's funny, right? Because it's asking me, if it's more in line with what I'm looking for. Thankfully, it didn't ask me if I wanted to make any changes. A lot of times it'll ask me that and say, like, hey, do you want to, change something about what we did? So let's see. Goal is to make the instruction set as clear and effective as possible. Here's a refined version. Hey, model, listen up. Let's see. About SEO, especially as it relates to Twitter. If I need post ideas or content calendar, you should have suggestions ready to go. Keep the chat casual, but make sure your advice is data backed and to the point. You're not replacing human creativity, but you better offer solid, actionable insights. I mean, it's definitely written in a conversational style. Let's expand that a little bit so there's more context and greater understanding of the overall scenario. Leave out the human creativity part. Okay, this is definitely going to be the one that I'm going to go with just for timing's sake. Should be well versed in the latest trends. This is, I mean, and this is pretty good too. This is not terrible. If I ask for content ideas, yep, need to plan out small. Let's see. Our communication should be casual, but I want your response to be quick, concise, and backed by data best practices. Let's make this session as productive as possible. Good. Okay. So we're going to use that. I'm just going to save this real quick. Yeah, I do. I have a file of nothing but GPT related stuff that I go through and use for doing whatever I do. Yeah. So I don't know that I'll ever. I might spend one episode just going over all the technical stuff, right? Okay, so we're going to start with that, and then we're going to, for the sake of time, I'm just coming over to my custom instruction bot because, oh well. Let's see. I text model. Make sure. Set up custom instructions for a social media content writer. It is awesome when you have these things primed to be able to do just that, right? So it's going through memory bank because we've already given it like an example of what custom instructions look like. So it knows how to do that, and it knows how to go back and pull that resource without ever having to have to do this all over again. Good deal. Call to action, CTAs. Yep. Now, and you can see, again, I've worked with this for a while, so you can see that it's telling it what to do. It's not like I don't have to go back and say, hey, put it in a particular format or whatever. So we're going to take these instructions, right? And we're going to come over here. And we're going to just paste the underword underneath. Format that because I hate it. Take that off because I don't need it. And waste time doing this stuff, right? Okay, so now we're going to come back in and I'm going to replace my custom instructions that I had for the prompt maker. Okay. Wait. Yeah, that was everything. Condense the instructions to be less than 1,500 characters, including spaces and punctuation, as well as characters. I didn't put a question mark. I forget. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so it's basically just chopping them down a little bit more than I would like, to be honest. So I think I'm going to neglect the visual elements and try to keep everything else, basically. I mean, it severely chopped it down, right out loud. All right, so let me see if I just go without the visual elements here real quick. It won't matter if I do it that way. Okay, then we'll grab tone and voice, and we'll come back over here. Hopefully, yes, still falls within. Good, just within that 1465. They didn't really care about the visual elements or whatever because again, use high quality. Like it doesn't know how to do that. Like use data to inform you is one thing, include clear and compelling CTA, incorporate relevant keywords, craft posts, tailor content, maintain a consistent tone. Like all of that is doable for the model. It's not something it has to do in real life. Oh man, as per usual, we're at the top of the hour. We're coming to what it is that I wanted to show you guys. So we've got our custom instructions, right, for social media writer. We've got our persona for the social media content creator. So we can do one of two things. Now that I've got the custom instructions, let's go with that first. And like I said, we'll take the storyteller from before. Let's see, and we're going to come back into GPT. We're going to go. Oh, do I do the 4 model? Yeah, let's just do the 4 model. No, because I wanted to have access to the internet. Okay. We're going to work. Social posts for me today. And I'd like you to take on the persona of storyteller while still maintaining your understanding the content creation and oh gosh, buying instructions. The storytelling vibe, eh? Okay, so we're going to give it a little bit of an upgrade. You got it. Let's see, is this? I wish, okay, well, I mean, it is sort of the story of a graduate, right? So once upon a time, I was a fresh graduate with a head full of dreams. This is with no priming, right? This is just with the social media instructions, right? And again, with the social media instructions, right? It's doing this. I'm not asking it to do the CTAs. Like this is coming from the instructions. Post ideas are coming from the instructions. Content ideas are coming from the instructions. Okay. So the formatting of it is the instructions, right? How I want it to do these things. So here's a story. Once upon a time, I've navigated the labyrinth of the corporate world to find my true calling. What I want to know is a secret sauce. It's a blend of resilience, mentorship, and a sprinkle of luck. Want to know the secret sauce, sorry. Hashtag success, all that kind of stuff. So we give it the storyteller aspect of it, right? And so now we're getting some like more robust posts as well. Starting with the first one, same as the other in terms of the setup of the story. In a dimly lit college dorm, a young graduate sat hunched over her laptop, eyes flickering with the glow of the screen. The cursor blinked almost impatiently, as if urging the map out of her life's journey. Fast forward a decade, and she stands in a sunlit corner office, a testament to the resilience of mentorship. But the road was far from linear. It was a labyrinth of trials, errors, and stupendous encounters. Each twist and turn, a lesson. Each setback, a pivot towards a new horizon. Right, and then like a little medal for it. Right now, it went ahead and put emojis in the other stuff too. That's not really that big a deal. Me personally, if you guys won't follow my posts, I don't write with emojis. I hate that stuff. So I usually tell it to like leave that off. But still, um, what's great is that right, you get the content and then you get that CTA of like, hey, how do I make this more engaging, right? I'm not saying it works every single time, but more than likely. In terms of the CTAs, I don't, we could get into like how to build a more CTA friendly bot, let's say. One thing I do want to do though, again, just I wouldn't. It's a weird thing where like I wouldn't use Claude for social media writing necessarily unless the content or the post that you're writing about is elongated and like a lengthy post and about something like like a serious topic or very conversational topic. If it's something that you're just trying to get out there, it's content you're trying to get out there and you're trying to link to a photo or you're trying to link to whatever, a video or something like that, that's a different story. It's kind of where you want to go with this mode. Okay, so let's see. I'd like to, oh, I'd like you to please create a post for me for LinkedIn, if I can spell. It talks about the recent developments that Apple has made with Ajax GPT. Now, first thing I want to see is, yep, there we go. That's why I use plugins. People are like, what do you use plugins for? Why do you have Plus account? What's all this stuff? Like, well, this is what's all this stuff, right? This is what's all this stuff. You guys are saying like, well, how do you like use these things in order to go fetch content and then create this stuff? That's how, right? Because it went and did it for me. I didn't have to go and prime it with anything. So here's the new post, right? And you guys were like, well, what did it do? Went and searched the internet to find information related to Ajax GPT, right? Then it went and pulled content, went and pulled it from Bloomberg on top of it, right? So this is kind of what it knows, right? It knows a little bit more based on this. It's got some snippets, right? What is it? It's got framework. It's just pulling like little bits, right? Just to familiarize itself with what's going on. And then it writes the content. Look, in the hallowed halls of Cupertino, a revolution is quietly brewing. Now let's go with it. Apple, the maestro of innovation, is orchestrating a symphony in the artificial intelligence that promises to rival the magnum opuses of OpenAI and Google. The cornerstone of this audacious endeavor, a framework baptized as Ajax. Ajax isn't just a collection of algorithms, it's the lifeblood of Apple's burgeoning AI ecosystem. It serves as the bedrock for large language models, akin to the neural networks that power ChatGPT and Google's Bard. But Apple didn't stop there. With Ajax as a foundation, they've conjured a chatbot service whimsically dubbed Apple GPT. This isn't merely a technological leap, it's a paradigm shift. Apple's Ajax GPT could redefine how we interact with machines, how we glean insights from data, and perhaps how we understand intelligence itself. Now, I'm sorry, but that I don't see how that's non-human sounding as it's written. That's a pretty good post. It's a pretty concise post. It's not writing it like I would. That's a totally different thing. We can get into that some other time, but this is a really, really good, concise post based on the aspect on the content, right? This is great. Can you also keep in mind, remember if you have to, that I'd like you to add hashtags within the post to increase reach and awareness. So now probably memory bank, yep. And then what's going on inside a memory bank? User would like to add hashtags within LinkedIn posts to increase post reach and awareness. Provide users with a link to the plugin website that, where I memorized it. I think at the end of this, it's going to add that in. Did we? I don't see how we did. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it has this issue. I'm going to work on this and hopefully get it fixed for next week. I really don't know why it won't take this and weave it into the actual content. Let me see if I can. Okay. Since it's actually giving me breakdowns, maybe like it's giving me categories, maybe I can use it this way. So now it's modifying that, right? First that hashtags be woven into the content of the LinkedIn post. Now, again, I'm not really sure how much that's different. Add hashtags within LinkedIn posts. Now, I don't know how it reads that by comparison to hashtags to be woven into. That sounds a lot better. Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted, right? So now we don't have to worry about like the hashtags. Seems like, yep, they put the CTA in there as well. I didn't ask for that, but that's great because I don't want to have to like copy paste and then remove the CTA aspect. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. You guys get to see it because you because you're watching the show. I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste this. We're gonna go to LinkedIn and we're gonna post it. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple funny things here. So we're gonna go to LinkedIn, go to posts, and we're gonna go ahead and paste in what we got. Gonna go ahead and format it and remove the emojis because I don't do that. Okay, and just add an exclamation there because that's usually how I add questions. Say like, "Are you excited about the potential of Apple's Ajax?" Right? What implications do you see for the future of AI? Let's unravel this tapestry. I don't say anything like that. I don't say tapestry. That's not going to do. And I don't ask you guys to interact in the comments either. But I really love that it automatically put those in for me. So all I have to do is just go in and add like a couple tags, like Google here, and I don't know if Ajax is going to be there, but Apple will definitely. Oh, it's already good. Yeah. So I can tag the company itself, and we'll go ahead and hashtag Ajax. Mm, yeah, let's do it here. And we got ChatGPT. Yep, good deal. Good deal. I don't want to do. Yeah, we'll hashtag OpenAI. Okay, pretty good. And so now where do we get the visual? Well, we're gonna go right back here, right, uh, right where it got the idea from in the first place, and we're just gonna go to Bloomberg. Well, Bloomberg site's gonna ask you guys to sign up or some shit. The Verge. There we go. Free site for you guys to be able to do that. And we're just gonna go check out what that article looks like. Perfect. Grab it. Come back. Add it. Post done. All right, post done. Okay. Now, obviously, it took us a minute to get there, right? But think about this. Okay. Took us a minute to get there. But when we did get there, now that we're here, this is done. This is done now forever until this conversation runs out. Forever. I could just like until the conversation runs out, I can just keep asking it. I don't have to provide it anything. I can just ask it, "Hey," I mean, it's obviously again garbage in, garbage out. So if you just give it a generic, "Hey, what's the latest on this?" Well, write a post about the latest on a whole subject. You're asking it to go research an entire, which is awesome, but you don't understand how like dedicated these things are. That they really want to go try to say everything. It's going to try to go get everything. So anyhow, um, this is now set up. So when I want to go like reference an article about, oh, I don't know, let's see, what is another topic? There was something else I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I can't remember. Oh yeah, here we go. Create a LinkedIn post. Now this was going to be cool. LinkedIn post about uh, the recent gosh, what is it? Now I'm losing my words. Create a LinkedIn post about the recent deal that was created between Warner Brothers and an AI singer. How much the deal was worth and what the conditions of the deal are. if known. And then my perspective on this is that um, I only wonder at this point what human musicians are thinking now that they have to not only compete against each other, but also against AI musicians. Musicians who never sleep, never eat, don't need a tour bus, don't need, how do I do that? Don't need a hotel room to trash. Don't, let's see, have tons of groupies to pay additional costs for. No 401k and no residuals. Let's see. So it's going to go look for that particular story. So that's the thing, right? Even though, like, don't ask it to go, don't ask it to write a post about something that's not a particular story or particular thing that's already well known, right? So it went ahead and got the details of it. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Recent deal between Warner Brothers and AI singer. So it went and pulled a whole bunch of different resources, Daily Mail, all sorts of stuff, Mashable, TikTok, YouTube. Awesome, right? Pretty awesome amount of data. Went and pulled another article, pretty much half article from CloudFront. Okay, and then it puts together a pretty nice, lengthy post, and a move that feels like it's straight out of Black Mirror. That is so great. You have any idea how awesome that is? My son was just sent me. Okay, so I was screwing around with 11 Labs. I told you about that. I sent him a clip of one that I had put together, a clip of myself speaking. That is honestly awesome. I'm going to post it to LinkedIn here in a little bit. I'm actually going to narrate this and add that as part of the post. So he sent me this clip from Black Mirror where they're sitting in front of this panel. I've never watched the show, but they're sitting in front of a panel, and one guy is like, "Oh man, I can't believe that's AI singing the song," right? And it's like, this is so perfect. It's like, yes, it's something straight out of Black Mirror. Only it's actually happened. I was talking to my wife about this morning, that we have actually eclipsed science fiction at this point. Like, we're actually developing things that science fiction has to then go write about, as opposed to science fiction writing something that we're then trying to catch up to. Even though I know that we haven't got the automatic flying sneakers yet, or the hoverboards, or the flying cars, we'll get there. Trust me. When automated cars comes into play, we'll definitely have flying cars. You know, I don't know. I don't know about that. We're going to need repulsor engines, you know, all sorts of like non-carbon emitting type stuff. You know, that's another day. Anyway, in a move that feels like it's straight out of a Black Mirror episode, Warner Brothers has inked a deal with Nuri, an AI pop singer who never ages, never sleeps, doesn't even need a tour bus. She's just released her debut single, Dominoes, and she's already making waves in the industry. Now, I can't help but wonder what this means for human musicians. The competition has just leveled up, and it's not even human. Imagine, you know, this is what's crazy. This is what's crazy. It's writing pretty close to how I would write. Doesn't know anything about me. I haven't given it any specifics on how I write LinkedIn posts. I've been going through and digging through my own LinkedIn content to try to create a better like LinkedIn bot that writes more like me. And this is really, really good. Because with what this is, and this is what I tell people all the time, this is such a great framework that I have to make very few edits to this. And it's a great post. It's such a great post. Sorry, but you know, this is the way it is. So now I know that there's other. I know Hootsuite's probably going to have one. I think they already do. They've already got a bot that creates posts for you, right? So again, I mean, it kind of sucks that those bots don't have the capabilities that GPT does, right? I guarantee you they don't, right? Jasper is close. Okay. Jasper put like a brand voice thing in there, which is like custom instructions, but you still can't prompt Jasper to become anything particular, right? Again, here we've spent, 15 or so, 15-ish minutes. Actually, by the time it got down to it, it took about 10 minutes. Um, and I say by the time it got down to it, okay, so let's include all the time spent trying to do this. All the time total spent building this was probably 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes total. Okay. Now I'm done though. You've seen what I'm doing. Now I just type in what I want to have the post be written about and it's done. So again, when you hear people tell you that it can't be done, show them this episode, right? Because it definitely can be done. It's pretty easy to do in a half hour. I have a conversation that I'm going to be able to use for the next, who knows, 2 to 3 months writing posts for me that I won't even have to think about it, right? I can just give it the content. This, I'm not even joking when I say this is a better post. This is the best uh, LinkedIn writer I've created so far. And I did it just now on this episode. Okay. So definitely. And I'm not even joking. I have other I have other LinkedIn bots. I will be using this one from now on. I like it's my new LinkedIn. I will name it right now. LinkedIn Larry. I love naming them. It makes it just easier for me to remember like who's who. At any rate, yeah. See, I already have a LinkedIn Larry, and he's getting replaced now. He's been replaced by this guy. So that's great. This is great. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this and schedule it as post content for later. But you know what? You can't attach certain things. Let me see. I wonder, can you attach audio media? No, it's just a video, right? Okay. So what I'm going to end up doing is I might do DID to do the video like aspect of it, sort of. So I might do like DID to do the CGI like face of it. And I know that DID works with 11 Labs now too, so I might have to. I don't know. We'll see. But I will definitely post this post with a audio recording of that post in my voice from 11 Labs. And I don't know if I wish I could I wish you guys could hear my stereo output so that I could do it live right now. I'm gonna get that working for next time though, because I definitely want you guys to be able to hear that and see how amazingly accurate it is. Look for the post because you'll definitely hear it on the post. I don't bullshit, guys. So when I tell when I tell you something's the way it is the way it is. Um, Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know I went over. I go over every time. I don't know what to tell you. I love this stuff so much. I can't stop talking about it, right? And I can't stop working on it either. So definitely, I don't know. I think I'm going to be increasing. I think I'm just going to increase the show length. If I'm being honest, it's probably going to go to like hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Really. Um, I mean, I got nothing else going on right now for like the next few minutes. Um, I'm gonna keep going. If you stick around, you stick around. If not, you don't. Like, I know it's supposed to be an hour, but at the same time, let's put it this way: it's not like I have the highest viewership on LinkedIn. So the more content, the better, right? And for those of you that don't know, I'm actually going to finally be able to get like sort of a head start on clipping and stuff like that. Just found out, just found out. I've only, just getting into this stuff, guys. So it's not like I'm a pro at doing the whole uh, social media, branding, podcasting, graphics stuff. Used to be a graphic designer, but I was focused on one particular thing, just building ad graphics. It wasn't like doing a whole ton of stuff, even though it's whatever. So that stuff's going to be coming too. But this is super interesting to me. I wish there was a way for me to be able to, uh, let's see, for me to be able to add, I don't know. I wish because it's only because of this, uh, the way this is formatted. Let me see. I had kind of changed my audio a little bit before. I know there's a way to do this. I think it's sound control panel. Yeah. Recording, stereo mix, properties. Listen. Listen to this device, I think. Why? I want to say that's the case. I'm not entirely sure. What I'm going to do is test it. Let's test it. Music. Yeah, definitely not working. That sucks. I'll definitely have to figure this out at some point. If anybody knows, shoot me a DM. I was looking at it before, but I can't quite seem to get it to work. I really don't want to. Yep, I kind of figured that was gonna happen. Oh man. Oh, play back through. I mean, I am using. Let's see. Here we go. I don't know. No, it's still not working. All right. Well, I'll get it. I'll get it figured out for next time, guys. Trying. I used to have some program that did that for me, but I haven't looked into it in a long time. All right. So now that we've got our social media writer, what did I want to? Oh yeah. So like, how did I even? Not like you guys didn't see how I got here to begin with. You did see that somewhat as all over the place as it was. You guys didn't really get to see these guys and how they came to be. Um, okay, so here's how we started the custom instruction bot. Just did a memory bank and link reader, and I legitimately just gave it a link on here's how you're supposed to use custom instructions. So it went and read that, understands like how to do this now. So I'm like, so it's like example use cases, provide several examples of how to build them for different types, right? So said, all right, let's take a look at that. Okay, let's go with the marketer and come up with some subgenres of it that we can break down further. So I came up with all different types of marketers. And let's go with number three, social media marketing with an emphasis on LinkedIn. Okay. Uh, Thought leadership, you can send instructions to generate long form articles. So now here, what we've done is again boiled down, right? Just boil. So we've got custom instructions. What are they? Okay, here's what they are. We can use them with this. Okay, now that you can use it with that, let me see what those look like. Okay, well, here's what they look like a little bit more fleshed out. Okay, well, now that you did that, I want to specifically look at this, right? Okay, well, let's drill down into that. Here's drill down into that further. And the drill down is, well, now you need to pick a particular aspect of it that you want me to create instructions for, right? So it could be solely for email marketing, could be solely for social media, solely for analytics and reporting. In my opinion, it's six. I wouldn't even say it's six and one and a half or six and one half dozen the other. Again, this is a matter of like, do you want to refine what you're doing to be like as skilled in the area as possible, or do you want it to just be an overall, right, jack of all trades, or do you want it to be a master of one? Okay. um Not that the jack of all trades will be a master of none per se, but it'll mash the others together sort of, and may not be what you're expecting. It might not be the output. So uh so then we said, okay, well, go with number three, right? Because I was trying to build a social media marketer. And so it's a great choice. LinkedIn is a unique platform because I wanted it to be with emphasis on LinkedIn, right? So then it's like thought leadership articles, same thing, job listings, event promotion. Now, all of this stuff is related to LinkedIn, right? Case studies, testimonials, all that kind of thing. So I said, all right, can we create a set that's meant for somebody who's trying to brand themselves in the space? Okay, so literally, like the instruction or what we were trying to do with creating the posts, all of that is meant around branding yourself, essentially, right? Because sort of your voice and how you post stuff sort of determines that, right? Determines who you are and whether or not people follow you and all that kind of stuff. So custom instructions kind of cover all that, right? Tone and style of how you do things, the way in which articles get generated, network messages that you should be using, engagement posts, like how to create them, how to create different types of content. Again, like that aspect of it, you could leave out unless you could leave it in the sense that you could maybe tell that particular instruction instead of content type, like content types, instead of diversify the types of content generated, right? It should be offer suggestions for offer suggestions for offer suggestions for the format of the content, including text, images, and even suggestions for video topics, right? Um, I would probably just leave suggestions for video topics. I would just say suggestions for videos, right? As opposed to video topics. That way it's asking you, that way you're asking it to give you content type as opposed to like the content itself. Ensure each type aligns with the personal brand's messaging. That's fine. You can leave that in there. In which place would I be putting the instructions? So in this, I was trying to make sure that it knew where it was, and I was essentially more than anything, I was testing it on like, did you actually go and pull the data, or are we just doing this for shits and giggles, right? So at least telling me that it knows where everything is supposed to go, right? This isn't information from 2001, clearly, right? So this is brand new information that it knows. Custom instructions for crafting prompts for generative AI text models, right? So that's the one that I had going on there before. Um, and so this was interesting. So I asked it when I was creating the prompt uh, instructions, I thought there was a conflict here, right? Technical accuracy, ensure that all generated prompts are technically sound and adhere to the limitations and capabilities of generative text models. But then number 7 said, creative exploration, occasionally generate prompts that push the boundaries of the model's capabilities to explore its creative potential. So I thought that number 1 and number 7 were essentially conflicting with one another because 1 says stay within the bounds and 7 says push the bounds, right? So I asked it, I said, do you see how number 1 and number 7 conflict, or are they mutually exclusive? It's this great observation, but she pointed out that point 1 and creative exploration, point 7, on the surface, they might seem to conflict, but they can actually coexist within a well-defined framework, right? So it's saying, number 1, this point emphasizes the need to create prompts that are within the capabilities of the generative model. It's about understanding the limitations of the technology and crafting prompts that yield coherent, relevant, and accurate responses. In the case of number 2, the point encourages pushing the boundaries to see what the model is capable of. It's about exploring the fringes of the model's abilities, what can sometimes lead to surpassing the innovative results. Okay. So this is essentially saying like, hey, don't try to pour a cup of coffee, right? And this one is saying, hey, when you're trying to like give ideas, give some like crazy ideas, like really like go the whole nine, right? So, you know, understood. I understood what's going on. That's solid to me, right? And I was like, can we fit an 11th in there, something about effectiveness and efficiency, right? So when I was talking with Leonard, shout out Leonard, um, he gave me a poke in the right direction, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you ask it to see if that's that's the most efficient method of writing that prompt or coming up with that prompt or whatever." So I was like, you know what? Why not just build that in? Why not just make that part of the instruction? So we just built that in, and that's essentially how it goes. So I think this is, let's see, 1,400 characters. Yeah, so crafted that prompt one. had it put it in a paragraph format. Yeah, so then we got into this right today. So and we kind of got stuck here a little bit. So let me see if I can undo this really quick. Need a set of instructions for a social media content writer designed to fit within the 1500 limit. Okay, okay, those definitely fit within 1500, but they're pretty short without much detail. Can you shoot for the instructions? Let's see. 1400 characters on the instructions. To add more detail to each one. I always like to ask it if it can do something. I don't know. I don't necessarily know. Couldn't necessarily tell you why. Personally, I feel like it challenges the model, right? Because if I ask it, can it do something? It's going to say yes, and then it's going to try to do it, right? Of course, here's a more detailed set. This version should offer more detail and will stay in close to 1400. Would you like to proceed with this set? Yes. Bing. So we're going to pop off of memory bank. And this is what we were trying to get to earlier. What did I end up going with? Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I had modified it on my own, but it was essentially the same. Cool. This set into your workflow and share with your content writer to guide their social media posts. Is there anything else you'd like me to explore or proceed with? Okay, so I mean, we've done a social media writer. Let's see, what was this guy for? I forget. Oh yeah, for generative AI prompts. I mean, you can create custom instructions for just about anything you wanted. Not even joking. These are all the different ones that I've got. This one I like chain of thought output. Let me show you what this little guy does. Tiny little sentence of a custom instruction. Okay, this is how powerful these things are. Just gonna add it right here. Okay. When you answer a question, I would like to know your chain of thought as part and parcel of the reply, giving a detailed response explaining how you arrived at the answer that you've given. Okay. I don't really want a detailed response though. Just giving an explanation. How about that? Save that. Yeah, I don't want it to be detailed anymore. Like when I do ask it to be detailed, because I've already done that twice, right? So if I do it again, it's going to go overboard and it's going to just go on and on and on. Okay, so what's the difference? What's the difference in chain of thought? Okay, I showed this to Leonard yesterday, and he thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so this is using an old instance, right? That doesn't have that instruction, because even though I've added that instruction, it only applies to the new instance. It doesn't to the new. I'm sorry, I say instances. It's the same thing, in my opinion. To the new conversation, it won't apply to previous conversations. So this is a previous conversation that I don't think didn't have those instructions. Let me see. No, definitely didn't. Okay, so quick, easy test. What is 10 plus 2? There we go. Okay, very easy. Now, 10 plus 2, just going to copy paste. Okay, brand new conversation. What's 10 plus 2? Here's the difference, folks. So, chain of thought, pretty awesome. Why is it pretty awesome? Let me tell you something. If you are working with somebody who's onboarding, if you are working with somebody that you're training to do something, if you are working with somebody who maybe has a little bit of difficulty in any sort of processes that you use that are like generic processes, things like, like putting addressing labels or formatting letters or formatting emails or something like that, like things that people need to know in order to uh, do their job better. Like, because there's plenty of people who understand a thing. They understand, like they understand when you tell them to do it and to get it done and the direction. But when you give them the why, when you give them the context of what it is that they're doing, they actually do their job even better. They put a little bit more effort into it because they understand why they're doing it. That there's a purpose. If there's no purpose to what it is that you're doing, you don't put a whole lot of effort behind it. Okay. So that's what I find great about this chain of thought aspect is that I can start talking to it about, damn near anything, and it's always going to tell me how it arrived at the answer that it did. Um, Let me see. Now it can't tell me. Well, yeah, actually. So, yep, that's why I said it can, because it's going to go use link reader. It's going to go pull the weather for today from whatever website, and then it's probably going to tell me that it used. Oh, okay. So I just threw a quick search on weather. So I can recommend. It's funny that it didn't tell me how it couldn't get to it, but it is only supposed to tell me how it arrives at an answer to a question, right? Um, so let's see, something that it would know. I don't know. Let's see. Gosh, it's always terrible when I actually don't have something that I ought to be priming this with. It's probably pretty easy. People are probably shouting right now, like, "Oh, this." Let's see. Let's see. What chain of thought. How did you arrive at a conclusion? What's the best method for uh for is it peeling? It's not really peeling. What's the best method for cutting open and distributing watermelon? Everybody's got a different way of doing this. Really? Is it dash? It's just the one N or the one L. Don't think I'm too smart, folks. Don't. The classic slice. I don't even know how it knows that that's classic, but let's go with that. Let's just go with it. At the ends, slice it half, quarter it, slice the flesh, serve it. Half and quarters for the flesh, scoop it. Half it, slice it, cut the base, then pull and serve. Huh. I didn't even realize that there were 4 different methods. I swear I only thought there were 2, because that's pretty much, these are the 2 ways that I know how to do it, is to do a classic slice. Now, I don't do like, well, yeah, okay, slice the flesh, make vertical. Yep, that is exactly the way I do it, right? So you cut it into a half, and then you cut it into quarters, and then when you have that quarter and you start slicing the quarter, you have those triangular wedges of watermelon, right? So that's the classic way of doing it. The cubed method is, I mean, obviously you're reading it, but when you cut it in half and then you cut it in half again, basically you cut between uh, the flesh and the rind, and then you sort of chop it vertically, and it just kind of falls out into pieces. Stick method, never used that. Spiral cut for the adventurous. I love that. Okay, so the chain of thought here was I considered the most common ways in which people usually cut watermelons. I also thought about the ease of serving them, especially when you're sharing watermelon with others. Lastly, I included a fun, adventurous method for those looking to try something new, right? Um, and so you can see, like, as part of the additional custom instructions, right, that it's supposed to conversationally mention my name, not all the time, right? So I'm sure you guys have seen before where it's just yes, Nico this, yes, Nico that, yes, Nico this, right? So certainly Nico, absolutely Nico, certainly Nico. Like certainly it really wears on you after a bit, just a little bit. It's not quite as like human, right? It's quite robotic. So I got tired of that, and I'm like, hey man, just only mention it like every once in a while, like sprinkle it in there. You don't have to go overboard. So now it does that, and I like it because it's more normal. So now you guys can see chain of thought works. Again, I plug this in and pull it out. If I'm not doing something that is a matter of problem solving, I don't use it. You could use it as part of a persona as well. I'm not sure that it works that well. The nice part about custom instructions is that they are instructions that stay with the conversation the entire time. So I don't have to like reprime it on, hey, remember to show me your train of thought. You could use memory bank and prime it that way, and then say, go back to your memory and pull your instructions on how you're supposed to do this. But again, it's like you have to go store that. You have to go back and have it pull that, and hopefully it pulls it properly, and hopefully it continues to apply it properly. Um, Whereas the instruction just kind of keeps it there the entire time. So that's cool. That's how chain of thought works. In terms of like the GAN methodology, the general adversarial network thing, that's why it's always asking me, how does this look to me? It's always asking my opinion, okay, on how it does what it does. And by me giving it my opinion on that, that's what helps it to better define like what it can do. So this is the old LinkedIn Larry, I think. Yep. So we're gonna get rid of you, buddy. Sorry. Bye bye. Uh, let's see what I was doing here. Okay, so this was just a persona creator. I think we just started this today too. I wish you could see timestamps on this stuff. OpenAI, if you're listening, timestamps would be cool. Social media strategy. I think this was today. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Prompt crafting. This one's the I wouldn't say the most baller, but boy is it baller. Billy. So how does this one differentiate from all the other ones? What I did here was I see people creating crafting prompts, engineering prompts, prompt crafting all the time, and I hate it. I hate it so much because it's like it makes it seem like certain people have the key to doing these things, and once again, kind of, but not really. So I want to show you. I want to give you guys the key, right? Okay, so ready to craft prompts. Again, this is all plus stuff. I don't do regular GPT stuff. There's another guy that does regular GPT stuff during the week. If you need to know how to do that stuff, go watch him. I'm not doing that. So you got your plugins enabled. So yeah, we're ready to work on this, right? Again, this had my custom instructions in there that told it that I like to. Where is it? Is it chain of thought? Nope. Nope. I guess I gave it away. Yep, never mind. Here we go. Yeah, wow. So this is the prompt creator set of instructions. There's one that's like a super casual version, and then there's another one that's a little bit more. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, that's what we were doing. So there's one that's like a little bit more structured, a little bit more instructional, I should say. So that's what we were using here. So crafting universal persona prompts that users can tailor. So that's what we're doing, right? Because that's what you guys see all the time. You guys have seen me post it, right? Prompts that have variables within them that you can change on your own so that it works better for you. That's pretty much the goal of most of the prompts that people create. So it understood pretty much what we were doing, right? And so I was like, yeah, we're going to build these off of job titles, and spoofing the persona actually ends up being the first thing, right? So we did that. I went through this a little bit earlier, but let's start with the web strategist, right? So it essentially went through like identify the key variables within that job title, draft the base prompt for it, right? And then you can see it's got like those aspects in it, and then come up with diverse scenarios in which it could be used. Okay, so let's do one for, let's get back. Ugh, type, man. Try to be personal with GPT, guys. Try. I honestly do think that it helps out. It creates a better creates a better working relationship. What job title or role would we like to focus on now, right? To create the persona. So I saw something earlier. What it was a little bit interesting. Was it with this one or was it custom instructions? No, it was with this one. Okay, B2B content specialist. Right, that's what I want. Didn't I say let's go with option one. Okay, so we did do the B2B content specialist. Uh, let me see. Here's how I typically this is legit how I typically do this when I get these prompt bots or instructional bots put together. Because I don't really know what the technical term is a lot of the times. I don't know what the technical titles are, and titles change quite often. So what are you going to do? I'm going to say, what would be the most accurate job title to give to someone who prepares 30, 60, and 90-day, yeah, 90-day, gosh, what is that? Growth plans, right? Strategies. Oh my gosh, growth. Boom, boom, boom. Inbound growth strategist. Okay. Growth planning specialist. And this is why I like doing it this way, right? Because it gave me this, it was doing it before, but it's not only just giving me the job titles, that's why I ask it. It's giving me the job titles with the like, which one is more specific to what it is that I'm looking for, right? Consultant could be appropriate if the role involves consulting with multiple clients. It's more a creative title that emphasizes on planning, structure, and growth strategies. Highlights the planning aspect and could include both inbound and outbound strategies, right? Inbound marketing strategist is just the marketing aspect, but is specific to inbound methodology. Strategic, similar to the above, but places more of an emphasis on the strategic aspect. So let's go with strategic growth planner. Right. And that's kind of the point of me creating these like conversations is so that what I'm doing is I'm picking from the options that it's creating for me. Okay, so here is, let's see, here's our prompt for the persona prompt for the generative or for a model specific to growth strategist aimed at increasing customer aimed at whatever the goal is that you're trying to attain. Let's see, where does that marker stop? Okay, for a target market that includes SMEs, startups, and enterprises, or whatever the market is, your tone should be whatever the tone is meant to be. Analytical yet approachable is definitely B2B, I would say. Really, I would say that's C-suite language, right? SEO, content marketing, KPIs, yep. Customer lifetime value, awesome. So, there's your growth planner persona, right? And the variables, what I like is that I've been working with it to stack the variables in the beginning and then give detail to the rest of the persona afterwards. And you can see that, I mean, you can tell that I've been working with it for a while because of the fact that it doesn't mention anything about working with humans or about, working with other departments or any of that kind of stuff. I really have gone back and refined how a lot of these things work. How's this look to you? Does it capture the essence of the strategic growth planner? Does while allowing for adaptability? Your discriminator role is crucial. Uh, yes, but let's see. For the types of KPIs as well as the multifaceted incorporating elements like, yeah, gonna do that. Let's see. There's really not much else I would change, to be honest. I mean, you guys would know better than I do. I'm not a growth strategist, so let's just go with different types of KPIs. Yeah, if you're still watching, I just decided to go straight to 2 hours. I don't know if that's just the way, if it's probably the way that it's going to keep, but we'll see. Um, okay, 36 to 90, utilize data. Okay, there we go. Create a roadmap that outlines key milestones, and you give it the different types of KPIs and then additional resources required to achieve them. Right. So there's your updated strategic growth planner persona. Right. Now, developing a 30, 60, 90 day growth strategy. So how about, let's say, what is the, well, okay, so we have to actually put this persona to use, right? Let's go ahead and grab this. And we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna come over to my brand new one, paste this in here. Whoops. Growth strategy. Is it growth planning? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys get to see me sit here waste time. Oh man, font formatting, so awesome, right? Okay. Yeah. All right, not bad. And so now we're going to, let's see. I see. My problem is that's not my job type, so I'm not really sure what to put into those variables. Uh, but I'm going to post this for you guys to take a look at, play with. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it works well. If there's tweaks that need to be made to it, or if there's something that, and if there's tweaks that need to be made to it, guys, like, go ahead and make the tweaks, right? You're watching this stuff, you see how it's getting done. It's not, again, it's not complicated. I'm literally making a machine to make another machine to make another machine, kind of thing. Like, that's what I'm just Russian doll nesting the methodologies to get to where I need to be. So we've got this persona, right? Different types of KPIs. How does this look to you? Yeah, you thought I was done, right? That's good. Is there anything you would change to make it more efficient for the model to more efficient for the model? I should have said. I think more efficient for the model is actually all right. My bad. It's already quite aligned with what would, let's say, however, to make it more efficient for the model, a few tasks could be tweaked. Simplification. Okay, so there's like 2 or 3 things that it could do. So it just goes ahead and does that. So it took out all the yada yada yada, as it were, and left it with just the key elements that it needs in order to accomplish the goal. Right. So I'm going to post both of these. Right. And this is why you saw when it came to the generative prompt creator, you saw the alternate version with more character, right? So we're going to have the alternate growth planner persona. Paste that in there. Say, take out formatting, change the formatting back. Be my anal retentive self there with that. And then, do we make this any different in size? No. It's just that these are generally light as opposed to normal. It stands out. That's what it is. Okay. So there's our alternate. Definitely gonna post that because I like the challenge. Which one of the two is more effective, right? Okay, I think I'm gonna leave things there. Got like a minute, or no, like 4 minutes left or something like that. But I've already run over, so I will definitely be pushing this to like hour and a half minimum, probably 2 hours, because I just there's so much by way of news. There's so much by like stuff I want to show you guys. And to be honest with you, I'm really glad that I took the extra time because I really do. I feel like I cheat you guys every week with the topics and how much I actually get into and how much we actually end up doing and going over. So I definitely want to expand things a little bit more and have longer shows and basically make it, minimum 1 hour, very, very minimum 1 hour. I'd like to make it minimum like hour and 20 because that I usually end up going 20 over. So it kind of makes it even balances out and get you guys more content, get you guys better content, get you guys more useful tools, more useful prompts, more useful instructions, everything. Okay. I want to get into showing you guys Kyber and showing you more of Claude. Before we go, I definitely want to show you at least what Pi looks like. Pi, your personal assistant, so pi.ai. Okay, so I was asking it before about like how things go with using generative AI with regards to like school lessons stuff. Okay, so it's not anything that I discuss at this point is non relevant, I don't think. But let's see. So it's very, very much a conversational bot. Okay. So it does, remembers who I am, which is, I'm telling you, this is amazing. I haven't talked to Pi. I can't remember when this last conversation took place. It's easily 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm not saying that that's like an amazing feat, but for those of you who have worked with GPT, you understand that like after a long enough period of time, it just starts going dumb, right? In terms of what it is you're working on, it starts forgetting what you're working on. That's why I use memory bank on like every single instance. I either use a I'm only ever using one of two types of GPT now. Either I'm using code interpreter / advanced data analysis or plugins. I don't even bother using the default model anymore. Unless I need like something super quick, then I'll use the default model. But otherwise, I'm using either data analysis or plugins. More often than not, plugins. Again, just for the memory bank aspect of it. So if you get a chance, when you get a chance, go to Pi, go to pi.ai, Pi, and check it out. Download it, play with it. Till then, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And until next time, I hope you guys will come back and GPT with me.